Today we're going to be dissecting the fetal pig. But before we begin, we have to prepare the pig. The reason is, if you look at the legs, they have a tendency to cross over the body, over the chest and over the abdomen. And we need access to those areas. So what we want to do is just tie the limbs out of the way. So what I've done already is put a piece of string, a 1 meter length of string around one limb. And I tied that off with just a simple knot. And then I'm going to take that string and I'm going to bring it underneath the dissecting tray and pull that leg out of the way. And then I'm going to come around and do the other limb. Now this is a little bit easier if you're working in teams than working solo. But we'll do the best we can here. I'm going to go ahead and try to tie a knot here. And there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and do the hind legs. Again, I've taken the liberty of already tying a knot around one leg. I'm going to bring this around the underside of the tray, and we'll go ahead and tie this leg off. And there we go. Now let's go ahead and start with the external anatomy. First of all, what I would like you to notice is that this is a male pig. And the way I know that is there's an opening right here below the umbilical cord called the urogenital opening. If this was a female pig, this would not be here. This opening would be more posterior near the anus, and it would be called the urogenital papilla. Let's go and take a look at the umbilical cord. This cord has already been cut, but in many cases the cord will be longer. And what you need to do is pull the cord gently. Pull the cord gently and take a scalpel and make a clean cut through that cord, as I've done here. Now, after you do that, you should begin to see 3 blood vessels. There's going to be 2 umbilical arteries and 1 umbilical vein. Now arteries tend to be a little thicker and they tend to hold their shape, a little bit rounder on average. And that tends to give these guys away as umbilical arteries. Also in the fetal pig, the umbilical vein tends to be a little bit larger. So this one large vein right here, it's also a slightly different color, is going to be the umbilical vein. So identify those structures. Then we're going to move up and we're going to take a look at the mouth area of the pig. Now the mouth is going to be shut and the muscles are going to be sort of locked into position. So we need to free those muscles up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a scalpel and we're going to cut the corners of the mouth here and over here. Now be careful with your fingers. Again, you want your fingers behind the blade, not anywhere near the blade in case you slip. And you're going to cut through a little bit of the bone also in the jaw. Now the good thing is that the fetal pig has not really ossified. The bones have not turned to bone yet. They're mainly just cartilage, so you can cut through them relatively easily. I've already done that here. I've made my cuts and I've pulled open the mouth a little bit. I'm going to pull open the mouth a little bit more. And I'm going to take a paper towel and dab it in there and get rid of any excess liquid so we can visualize the structures a little bit better. Some of the structures I want you to be familiar with is the hard palate. That is this structure right here. They call it the hard palate because on the underside of this skin is going to be bone, so it's very hard. Behind that is going to be the soft palate, and you can see that this is actually torn away just a little bit, but it's mainly muscle and it's not as well supported by bone, so it's referred to as the soft palate because it's just soft tissue or muscle. Now you can see a small structure here that I've got the probe on. Let me go ahead and clean out some of that liquid. And you can see this little protuberance right here. That is going to be the epiglottis. Its job is to protect the hole in this structure called the glottis. The glottis is the beginning of the trachea, which goes down to the lungs. So the epiglottis is going to protect that hole from food getting into it. Now, on the back side of that epiglottis, I'm going to take my probe, I'm going to move that epiglottis forward just a little bit, and I'm going to put my probe into a hole there. That hole is the opening to the esophagus. So we have two holes relatively close to each other. The hole in the epiglottis is going to be called the glottis. I have my probe right in that hole now. And just behind that, if I go behind the entire epiglottis, there is a hole that's a little bit tough to see here. But I've got my probe in it right there. Maybe if we open this up a little bit more, you could see that, but the probe is in the opening to the esophagus. And that's going to be it for part 1.